Action.
Hello, welcome to Friday Nights with Emma. How is everybody? We'll just give everybody a minute or two to join in. Just give us a little thumbs up or a heart to let us know you're there. Mikey's on camera again, so say hi to Mikey. Yeah. Oh, I've got to say hi to Jackie. So even though she's not going to be watching live tonight, I know she'll be watching on catch up, so she's not going to be with us tonight. So hi Jackie, because I know she'll be watching later on. So hi. Got my grape juice with me tonight. So.
Kathleen is watching.
Oh, hi Kathleen.
Joan is watching.
Hi Joan.
Sharon.
Hi Sharon.
Your mum.
Hello Mum. Oh, everybody say hello to Mum. Mum's not had a good week. Well, we've not really had a good week. Mum, one of Mum's little rescue puppies, little rescue dogs. Not really a puppy. Definitely not a puppy. Had to be put to sleep this week. Little Max.
Joan, Terry, and Leslie, and Sarah, and Susan, and another Susan.
Hi Susan. Hi Susan.
Diamond.
Hi Shirley.
And Sarah, and Carol. Judith.
Hi Judith.
Debbie.
Hi Debbie. Right, that's what we're going to do tonight. You see my machine's not up at the minute, so we will be sewing, but later on. So what I thought I'd show you tonight is Prairie Points. Now there's a couple of ways of doing it. It's a really traditional, these are not sewn on, these are just there. This is what they end up looking like, basically.
Dawn is watching.
Oh, hi Dawn. And it's an alternative to binding your quilts. So, traditionally, they are attached to the outside of your quilt, usually after the quilt has been quilted, when you're ready to bind, and then you sew them on so they stick out from the edge like that, all the way around.
Annette is watching.
Oh, hi Annette. It just makes a really nice decorative edge. Like I said, there's a couple of ways of doing it. Now, the traditional way is folding up squares.
Diana and Christina are watching.
Hi Diana, hi Christina. So what size are these? These are leftover squares I had from my other quilt. I thought I would read 4.5 inches. So traditionally, if you're doing a very, well, like a full-size quilt or even a single-size quilt, you would do somewhere between 4 and 5 inches squares. So you end up with a decent sized triangle. They'll end up a little bit less than half the height, half the width, I mean, of your square. So if I show you.
Cheryl and Lorraine are watching.
Oh, all tangled up. Oh no, sorry. That's Shirley and Lorraine, you said?
Cheryl.
Oh, Cheryl. Hi Cheryl. Hi Lorraine. I'm going to get untangled. There we go. You don't have to press them, but it does make it a little bit easier. So just pressing that in half like that.
Penny is watching. She's never made Prairie Points.
Oh, yeah.
Sandy is watching, and Barbara is watching.
I've always wanted to do it. This has been a first for me. It's one of those projects that I've had on my list.
Diane is watching.
Oh, hi Diane. So it's very simple. You just fold them like that. You need to make sure that all your raw edges along one edge and that they're all together. It's very important for this edge to all be aligned.
Margaret is watching. She's saying this week has gone by so quick.
I know. It really has. I can't believe it's middle of June, halfway through the year. Soon it'll be the longest day.
Soon be Christmas.
Shh. I'm definitely not ready for that. It is a really nice way, if you've got quite a bit of fabric left over from your quilt, to do different colours of squares for your Prairie Points. Now if you do them like this, which is the traditional way, you can space them out as close together or as far apart as you want, depending on how many squares you've got.
Belinda is watching.
And then this way is a lot easier to adjust how many triangles you actually use. So if I was to put this on here, I would continue making as many squares as I need to fulfill to the end, basically, and then you can just adjust them to how you want.
Sarah says it's been a long week at school.
Oh,
and
back to school.
Yes.
All right.
And Marion is watching for the first time.
Oh, hi Marion. Hi Marion. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. So that's the traditional way. Now, you'll be glad to hear there is a quick method, which is how I did these, basically. Now, with a quick method, you are limited to how far apart they are. So you do have to do, if you want them to be exactly the same length, you do have to do a little bit of math. So figure out how long your quilt side is, and then make that dividable by a good number.
Linda is watching, and Margaret says it's 28 weeks to Christmas.
Shh! That is way too short, way too short. Yeah. So, the quick method. So I've done 3-inch squares. So my triangles will be that size roughly, and I wanted to go a little bit smaller because I'm doing it on my cathedral windows that I did last week, and because it's not a massive project, I didn't want massive prairie points on it because it would be a little bit out of scale. So I did them a little bit smaller. Now, if you wanted to do bigger ones, you need a strip of fabric that is twice the width of the height, or the size of your square, basically. So if I was doing this one, which was 4.5, I would need a strip of fabric that was 9 inches wide. This one I've cut at 6 inches because my squares are all 3 inches. Now, if you can see, first thing I did, which I won't do again because this is friction pen, is you fold your strip in half and then you press it. Make sure everything's all lined up. You press it down the middle to get your middle crease. And then you open it up. Oh, I'll get my...
Christina says she was in Cape Verde last Christmas.
Oh, that sounds like a plan. That'd be a nice place to spend Christmas. One day. One day. So on one side, you mark your 3-inch square, and then you put a line. I just did it with my friction pen. So you draw a line from the middle out, and then the first one on this side is staggered, so it's 1.5 inches, or if you're doing if you wanted to do 4.5, what would it be, 2.25 that you'd start off with, and then you do 4.5. So you just have to have half the size of your square on this side, so that they're, like you see, staggered.
Judy and Brenda are watching.
Oh, hi Judy, hi Brenda. So you just continue marking them all the way down to the end. And then you need to just use a pair of scissors, just cut along the line. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but down to the centre, then stop.
Laurie is watching.
Oh, hi Laurie. So I'll just do a few, because then I'll show you the folding.
Beverly is watching.
Oh, hi Beverly. Now what I think I'm going to do with this is actually, rather than having it around the edges instead of a binding, I think I'm going to add it as a decorative feature. So like you would add a little bit of binding to an inside border to give it a little decorative touch. I think I'm going to do the same thing.
And Hannah-Laura are watching.
Oh, hi Anne. Hi Lorcan. But this way is much quicker, and it's less fiddly than the squares. But like I said, the squares, individual squares, it is easier to space them out. Oh, last one on this side. I think I might have to trim one of these off. I've cut it a little bit extra, so I've cut it 3 or 4 inches, or about 4 inches bigger than I needed it at the end, just to make sure that I'm covered.
Karen is watching.
Oh, hi Karen. Sorry, this is the boring part, me just cutting. Oh, last one, yay! Now I can show you the folding part. Right, so where are we? There we go. So the first fold is across like this.
Margaret is watching.
Oh, hi Margaret. And then down. So you're folding it exactly the same way as you did the square. So leave that pinned in there. And then this one I'm going to fold up like that. Now this bit is going to be waste, so we're going to trim this off at the end. So you just ignore that bit for now. Fold this one over.
Angela is watching.
Oh, hi Angela. And then fold that over like that. I'm going to put a pin in and give it a press. To make sure they stay. There we go. So.
Maureen is watching.
Oh, hi Maureen. Fold that over like that.
Amanda is watching.
Oh, hi Amanda. So there's that bit. And then this over here. And then that down. And then that over. So it's kind of a two-part process. Pin it. Oops.
Kathy is watching.
Oh, hi Kathy.
Natalie is watching.
Oh, hi Natalie.
From Jersey.
Oh, hi Natalie. Oh, yeah. Hi Natalie. I like sending things to Natalie because I get to practice my French writing.
Angela says this is looking fabulous.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so this way, obviously, you can only do one colour because it's from one strip.
Shirley and Terry are watching.
Oh, hi Shirley, hi Terry. But for those people who don't like the binding, this is an alternative to the binding. So I'm just going to finish doing this and then we'll attach it. I won't be able to show you the whole attaching as if you were, because obviously it would have to be quilted to attach it. So I might have to do that on another show.
Michelle is watching and she says it's amazing.
Oh, thank you. There we go. It's just something different that you can add.
Michelle says she loves your demos.
Loves my what?
Demos.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad. Glad they're useful. This week I've been working on a quilt pattern for a panel. So that'll be something that should be done next week. So I'll be able to show you the picture and then I'll work on the pattern.
Annette asks, how do you round the corner, please?
On here? Yeah, we'll have to, you have to do individual strips. So I'll show that. Again, it is easier if you've got, I will say that the individual squares are easier, but I will show you. When I've got this one done, I will sew it on.
Karen is watching. Heather says it's amazing, definitely going to do this.
Oh, yay.
Shelley is watching.
Hi, Shelley.
And Linda says this is so clever, going to try this method.
Oh, thanks. Yay, yes, definitely. Like I said, I'm going to add another border of this to this, so this is going to end up, I'm going to add another border of this fabric on the outside, so this is going to end up probably this direction rather than this direction as a feature in the border.
Penny asks, does this technique work with pattern fabric?
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely. You saw I did the single squares with the pattern fabric. Yeah, definitely. I might still do it actually. I've got one quilt top that I've finished that I really think would do well with a scrappy border in Prairie Points.
Hillary is watching.
Oh, hi Hillary. So I'll have to show you that when that one's done. But yeah, if you've got enough fabric left over from your quilt, like I said, have different squares from your fabrics, so the same size square from your different fabrics, and you can either make it completely scrappy or you can do it in order. So depending on what the fabrics are you've had, you can do maybe a red, blue, green, red, blue, green, red, blue, green, whatever you want to do. I'm just doing white for this one. So if when you use the strip method, you can only do one fabric. You can't make it scrappy, obviously. But you can definitely use whatever fabric you wanted. I was thinking about using the same fabric as this, but then it inspired me. I think I'm going to do white so it contrasts. Oop. Pin it down. I'm surprised I don't have any friends. They were here a minute ago. There we go. Last few. I know, this is boring bit.
Ross is watching.
Oh, hi Ross.
And Cindy says, I love it. Never seen this before.
Oh, yay.
And speak of the devil.
Yeah, there's Link. He was helping earlier. Did you hear us say? Did you?
Jeanette is watching.
Oh, hi Jeanette. Seriously? I don't need your bum in my face. Go on. They've actually both been well behaved today. So maybe they're saving it up for now.
Saving it up for 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that too.
Joy is watching from Hertfordshire.
Oh, hi.
Loves your show.
Oh, thank you. Hi.
And Carol says, I've been thinking about including a key to the temperatures on my temperature quilt.
Oh,
I think these would be ideal.
That is a good idea. That's a perfect idea. Yeah. You could have, yeah. Prairie Points. Definitely.
Angela says, sorry, missed the beginning, but did you put the measurements for the fabric in the lines that you drew?
Yes, so I will explain. Let me explain that again.
Natalie's watching.
Oh, hi, Natalie. So I am doing my Prairie Points at 3 inches from 3-inch squares, basically. So it comes up, the height of the Prairie Point is slightly under, it should be slightly under 1.5. Well, it's actually at 1.5, so that's not too bad. So whatever height Prairie Point you want, you need to double that for the size of your square. And then, if you want to do the strip method, your strip needs to be twice the width of the squares that you're making. So if you wanted a 2.5-inch Prairie Point, you'd make a 5-inch square, and then you would need a 10-inch strip. Now, to calculate the length, you need to measure the side of your quilt and then add probably another 5 or 6 inches on the end, which will be extra because you will trim it down to size, but you need to have that just in case.
Mandy is watching, and Jeanette says Link is only trying to help.
He is. He's a good helper. Oh, yeah, and then when you've done your strips, you press it in half, and then you mark your squares at the size that you want, basically, staggering them. So you've got, start with a half size on one side, and then a full size on the other, so they're like bricks. So that's probably going to get trimmed off, but I'll leave it for now. Right, now I can get the machine out. That's the boring bit done. Right, that's what we end up with. Now this one I have sewn already, just a scant 1/4 inch from the edge, because that will be hidden anyway, so that it stays together basically, so I don't have to worry about the pins.
Angela says thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Oops. Right, get your roller out. He doesn't, it's
He
not...
wants to go in.
I've moved the cat ball so they don't have to go in there anymore.
Well, use Link.
Okay. So, there's 2 ways you can do it. If you wanted to just add a trim with the points pointing in, basically you just sew it, baste it on the top, less than a 1/4 inch away, and then you would put your strip over the top. For this one, I'm still going to add a strip later, but I want them to be out like that. So I'm just going to show you how you would sew them on. I'll start from the edge. This is as if they were going to be on the edge, not as part of the border. And normally this part would be done once the quilting is done. You'd leave say 1 inch or so from the edge unquilted so that you can attach your Prairie Points on.
Well, Jeanette says she can't hand or machine sew at the moment with her arthritis.
Oh, that must be really frustrating. Well, maybe you can sew vicariously through me. Maybe that will help. Let's hope. So the seam allowance that I'm using for this, because that's how much I would normally use for a binding, I'm just going, it's not quite 1/2 inch, I'm just going the edge of my regular presser foot. So let me just tell you how much that is. It's about 3/8 inch seam allowance. And that's only because I find a 1/4 inch too small for this part. You could do wider if you want. If you do wider, you'll have less of the points showing. It depends on what you want.
It's your world.
Exactly, as Bob Ross says, it's your world, your rules. We'll see, I might have to redo that because it's not quite centered in the middle, if you see. We've got a gap on that end. Really, they ought to be centered. So we'll see how this works. I'm going to
Rosie said, just found you as I live quite close.
Oh.
I think this is a bit too advanced for me, but we'll enjoy watching anyway.
Oh. Well, the strip method is a little bit harder. The single ones are easier, I will say. I mean, a little bit more fiddly, but then because they're individual, it's easier to space them out. I'm just sewing these down so that they behave themselves, basically, while I attach them. might have to cut that last one off, we'll see. So this bit, that tail bit that I showed you, that's the waist, we literally just cut it off like that. Those raw edges are all going to be hidden anyway. So let me see, move this out of the way. Let's see how this fits. Yeah, this one needs to come off. I've got a jack here somewhere. So I'm just going to do the stitching here. Just come on. There we go. Just cutting that along, right along the middle.
Penny says, I just finished piecing the Riley Blake Little Red Riding Hood quilt that you demonstrated on Sewing Quarter.
Yes.
Gosh, it was a challenge, so many little fiddly bits. Just got to quilt it now.
Oh wow, nice. It's funny, I just came across the remnants of that I demonstrated with today actually. So, oh, I ought to finish that. Oh, kudos, because that one was fiddly, definitely. So well done on that. Very nice one though, very cute. You'll be all ready for Christmas then, because that was supposed to be a Christmassy one. There we go. So you see how that meets there? So I'm going to start sewing so that when it should go over, basically. So let me move this back. We'll see how it meets. It's my chicken.
Diamond asks if I know what the C word means for quilters. I have no idea. The C word.
I don't think I know the C word. Do I know the C word? Do I know? You'll have to tell us, Laurie. Is it a naughty word? I know the F word for quilters, at least for me, is fudge. Fudge it. A lot of my quilts are made with a pound of fudge. You just got to know how to hide it.
Christmas.
Oh, yeah. 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 I have to admit, I haven't really done any Christmassy quilting. So I haven't had that pressure of getting it done for Christmas. Except when I was on Sewing Quarter, then that was pressure to get it done anyway.
Penny was thinking, I was thinking cats.
Yeah. That would be right in our house. Ooh, ooh, think it's gonna match? Think it's gonna match? Ooh, ooh. Now I admit this is more luck than skill. But I'm quite chuffed with that. Just going to do a little back stitch because I don't want them to go over. So I want them to be separate. There. So that's how they match. So you just leave it like that and have it as an pointing inner border. But for Prairie Points, you want them to go out, and then you'd fold that, trim that off a little bit. As they should. Just a little bit and trim it off. See, I'll show you. Can you see? I'm just going to trim it off like that. I don't want you to get too close to the stitching because I still want to have at least 1/4 of an inch there. But you will need to do a little bit of fudging to get that tucked under there. And that's how the corners go. So you won't have anything, you won't have a point in the corner, but you'll have a straight line like that. And then with your backing, when it's actually quilted for your backing, what you have to do I'm going to pin this on to pretend this is my backing, like that. You have to hand whip stitch it. So if that's my backing, I would fold that over and pin it so it's right up to that stitching edge, like that. And then with a little ladder stitch, yeah, the same stitch that I used last week to do the cathedral windows, the hand stitching, you'd do that. So you do a little ladder stitch to close that over and then fold this. Need to be a little bit, it would normally be more over, but you'd want to sort of tuck that in as best you can on the corner. And because you're hand stitching it, you'll be able to finish it off a lot better. Fold that under.
Penny says, well done, perfect corner. Judith says,
thank you.
Perfect, spot on.
Yeah.
And Angela, so that's amazing.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, so that's how you would finish the backing if you were doing this on a quilt, basically. And then just whip stitch it down. So then you end up with really nice decorative edge. I think it's really nice for wall hangings especially. Or if you want to get really fancy, you could do wide ribbon. You could do Prairie Points with wide ribbon, although I'm not sure how they would keep the crease because they can get a bit bouncy, can't they? Or maybe satin. I'm just thinking for baby blankets. You know how babies like to, and toddlers like to feel the edges, you know, the satiny. That might make it really nice, give it some different textures. So yeah, that's going to be my Prairie Points, and I'm going to add a border to that so that they really stand out. I'm quite chuffed with that. It's my first time doing Prairie Points as well. So yes, that's inspired me actually. I really do want to do it individually and scrappy on my one quilt that I finished. Well, quilt top. It's not quilt yet. So yeah, what time is it? It feels like it's not that late, but maybe.
Not dark, dark.
Not dark. That's how Michael gauges it. It's how dark it is.
It is a bit. I mean, the fog has really moved in.
Yeah. It's been a dreary day all day. I've only been outside for a nanosecond to look at the garden today. I've been inside all day. Probably not good for me, but yeah.
Jeanette says, that's lovely.
Oh, thank you. Actually, you could do it for the edges of a cushion as well. Just thinking about that.
Penny says that would be fun on a dinosaur themed quilt.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And Lynn said you would never know it was your first time.
Oh.
And Judith says it's 8:35.
Oh yeah, so it isn't as late as we normally go. So yeah, that was something quick. Like I said, I've been wanting to do I've been wanting to do Prairie Points for a little while. Anyway, I've been thinking about doing them to show you guys. And I knew there was a quick method, which is this one, but it's all one colour. And then the other one, you would just do exactly the same. Let me take that off now. With your squares. what I would probably do if I was doing it with individual squares is arrange them how I wanted and pin them to death to each other. So you'd want to lay them all out on your quilt top. Probably easiest to put them this way.
Susan says it's getting darker earlier and we're not far from solstice.
I know. They're going to put it on, they're going to do a live one, aren't they? Going to do a live solstice this year because people can't actually be there? I don't know. Good to see. I've always wanted to do it. Back in the 80s when you could actually go up to the stones.
And Angela says she was playing golf in the downpour this afternoon. We had to hide under an umbrella for 20 minutes.
Wow. Oh, well done. Right, so individual ones, you would overlap them like that all the way across, space them out as evenly as you could, and then really pin each one so you've got them all pinned together. And then I would still sew them about 1/4 of an inch from the edge to keep them all together, and then sew them on, just because they can shift basically even with pins. I would find that easier to sew them together first.
Yes, Leslie and Judith said they are going to do a live stream at Stonehenge.
Oh, yay. Yeah, I'll have to watch that if I'm up early enough.
And Annette says, I think everybody will be looking for an excuse to use these. Really love this demo. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think I might revisit it. Like I said, I've got a quilt top that I've been thinking about doing this on. So I'm going to have to find some scraps. I don't have any scraps left of it, but I might be able to find some fabrics that go with it because it's a scrappy quilt anyway. So yeah. So that's Prairie Points. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Thanks for joining me. Oh, hi Jackie. Hopefully you liked that as well. And yeah, have a good evening. Have a good weekend. If you have any suggestions or things you really want to see, just let me know. Message me. If not, I'll see you next Friday. Take care and cheers.